Are you a control freak? Are you a person who likes order? Do you like things to go a certain way? If they do not, you get upset. Do you like to set unrealistic expectations and are put out when they're not met? Do you sometimes lack patience? Do you expect things to happen instantly? Do you get frustrated when you put a lot of work into something and see lack of results from your work? Did you answer yes to any or some of all the above questions? I don't need any of your answers. It's none of my business. But I will speak for myself. At times, I can be a control freak. At times, I can lack patience and expect things to happen instantly. And yes, I get frustrated when I don't see results from my hard work. The focus of our scriptures today is on how the kingdom of God grows. We hear Jesus speak to the crowd, and we hear Jesus speak to us on how the kingdom of God grows. You know, sometimes I think we can forget how the kingdom of God grows. We live in a culture of convenience where things happen instantly. We live in a culture that does not wait well. Waiting for some is lost money. If it does not come up on the phone or electronic devices in a few seconds, it's slow. We are in a hurry and we stop by convenience stores and restaurants. And we even have instant food like instant coffee, which I hear I don't drink coffee, but I understand it's not very good. Or instant rice. Put in the microwave for 90 seconds and you have a bowl of cooked rice. And there are many other things that we have at our fingertips that are instant and inconvenient. And with a culture of instant and convenience, it might seem this is how the kingdom of God grows. The mustard seed gets planted in the ground, and 60 seconds later, it's a full-grown tree with birds nesting in it. As convenient, as instant as this would be, according to our scriptures today, this is not how the kingdom of God grows. Rather, we hear that the kingdom of God grows slowly. We hear that it's like scattering seed. And then when the time comes, the seed produces, first growing and sprouting, producing a blade, then an ear full of grain. And then the seed is fully ripe, and then it is harvested. The kingdom of God goes through a natural, slower than what we like growing process. The kingdom of God grows on its own. We hear that the sower sleeps night and day, and all this happens without his knowing. The sower cannot control or make the seed grow faster or slower. The seeds grow at their own rate. The growing process happens with the seed, but this growth process also happens with the kingdom of God as well. We scatter the seeds of the kingdom of God. The seeds sprout. And then they come out of the ground with first a leaf, then many leaves, and eventually into full bloom and producing fruit. And all this happens on its own. It happens naturally. As much as we would like to force its growth or expiate its growth, the unfortunate reality is we cannot. We cannot force the seeds to grow, or we can't force them to grow faster. It happens naturally. It happens on its own. As much as we like the seeds to grow in the garden, nor can we make the seeds grow in the kingdom of God. But what we do is we aid the growing process. In the garden, we may not be able to force the tomatoes to be ripe sooner than we'd hope, or to have pumpkins sooner rather than later. And many of us would long to have an ear of corn on the cob for dinner. But all we can do is aid the plant's growth process so that it can produce healthy fruit. We might do this by pulling the other weeds around the plant, water during a dry spell, make sure that the soil is healthy and that it grows, or ensuring that there's proper sun. Just like we cannot force the garden to grow, to produce, in the kingdom of God, unfortunately, we cannot force it to grow and produce its fruit. But we can be of aid to its growth process. We can do this by making time for prayer in our daily lives, or how we share love and care for each other. Or perhaps you may do it by sharing your faith with another person, or teaching another person about the faith, or by celebrating the sacraments. In doing these things, we don't force the kingdom of God to grow, but we do aid the growth by doing these things. And sometimes when we do these things, we might not see its immediate growth. We may wish to see our results from what it is that we're doing. And that's okay. Sometimes the growth just takes some time for the seed to grow and to mature. As we journey as disciples to the Lord, what aid can you provide to helping the kingdom of God grow? And most importantly, do you have the patience to allow the kingdom of God to grow at its own rate?